What is going on, everybody? How we doing today? As usual, hope you're doing well. It is a Saturday, and not just a Saturday, but a Saturday afternoon, and we are going to do our thing. I really need a haircut, but I don't have the time or the energy right now, so I'm just saying fuck it, and I'm gonna wait another week. I hate it because the fucking receding hairline, right? It's bad, but it's not that bad. What makes it look worse is the fact that I have these growing like they have been my entire life, so it always looks worse. Always looks worse. Somehow this is Jet Neptune's fault. I agree. I agree. I bet if season four, I bet if season four was a complete season, everything would be going great right now, but it's not. And I blame Jet. I blame Jet. But hope we're all doing well. What is going on, smart moron? I usually don't stream at this time of the day. Usually I would, I'd be doing anything else, really, just about anything else. But I happen to have some time, and I figured I might as well get the stream out of the way today. I was gonna do a Kick exclusive. I've been slacking on the Kick exclusives, and it's because I've been slacking on streaming in the first place. I was actually gonna stream last night, but it just didn't work out. I just didn't end up streaming last night. I had some other stuff that I decided to do instead, and because of that, you know, I'm uh, I'm here today though. I'm here today. That's the important thing. That's what matters is that I'm here today. Damn it. But yeah, trying to think if there was anything else to talk about other than what's going on in the world right this second, which is the potential start of World War III. Now, frankly, I subscribe. I subscribe to the Chud logic that nothing ever happens. All right, eh, look. I mean, let's be honest here. Nothing ever happens. However, even when something does happen, it usually ends up being some kind of nothing burger anyway. I do have something to say that kind of contradicts this a little bit, but like Ukraine, for instance, right? I remember when Ukraine went insane, right? When insane in the Ukraine, right? I remember when that popped off. Everyone was like, it's happening, it's fucking happening, it's finally happening, holy shit, holy fuck. And yeah, like obviously that was kind of a big happening. However, it didn't turn into the gigantic World War III level conflict that it was supposed to, you know. Um, Now, with that said, when we think of something like, say, World War One or World War Two, it's real easy now that we're uh, 70 to 100 years removed from both of those wars to look back and be like, ah, yes, here is the start of World War Two. It was sometime in the 1930s. It might have been like 1937 or 38. I forget exactly when. In America, I don't know how many people here right now are not American, but in America, when we learn about World War Two, the main like most of what we learn about is the American involvement in World War II. We don't learn about like English involvement in Burma or anything like that. We don't learn about we learn about like the start of the conflict with the invasion of Poland by Germany, obviously, right? But like I frankly I forget the exact year. I forget the exact year that it happened. The bottom line is when Hitler invaded Poland, people were like, "Oh man, that's crazy." Anyway, that's got nothing to do with us. And then not even 10 years later, practically the entire world, especially Europe, is engulfed in a gigantic fucking war, the likes of which nobody has ever seen before. I mean, the closest thing to that would be World War One, but the industrial scale of World War Two was uh, blowing even World War One out of the water. You know, it's I think we all just have to admit that nothing ever happens until it happens, and when it happens, usually we're caught off guard by it and we have no clue what's going on. And 10, 15 years after the fact, everything will solidify and we'll have our narrative, and that's just the way the world is. Russia Ukraine was supposed to be the geopolitical event, exactly. Spanish Civil War was supposed to kickstart World War II, but didn't happen, exactly. Like this could be, I don't think it will be, but it could be a situation like the invasion of Poland, right? Um, and I don't say that as like a guy who's like, we're the Nazis this time. Oh no. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying, like, as far as events go, there's a chance. There's a chance that this could be an invasion of Poland kind of situation. And then slowly things just keep getting worse and worse. And eventually we're all in fucking Tehran or some other Iranian city, you know? There's a chance. There's a chance. But I don't know. We'll see how that all goes. By the way, I already said hello, Smart Moron, but hello again. What's going on, Joe Rogers? What's going on, Duke Lombardi? Hope we're all doing well today. Um, you know, it's tough to know what's going to happen. It's tough to know how to feel about it, right? And the reason why I say that is because I don't want war, especially not for Middle Eastern powers, right? But I also don't have like a low key hatred of the United States. I don't have a low key hatred of my nation. There's a lot of people out there who they have a low key hatred of the United States, and it comes from a couple of different places. One of them is that a lot of these people, like 10, 15 years ago, they would have been left wingers, but like they got kicked out of the left wing for being too white and male or something like that. So because of that, they still have some of those left wing, like, actually the terrorists are the good guys kind of attitude, but now they're racist. Like, don't underestimate the amount of people who call themselves right wing who are really just left wingers with racism. Just like it's a fact of the matter, right? But then in addition to that, I think it's got something to do with just wanting to always be right in that kind of liberal way, right? I'm not even saying like that all these people are liberals or anything like that, but you see this in the liberals where a lot of the time they just will be contrarian. They'll be contrarian towards their own in group. They will be like, no, actually my in group, I don't want my in group, I want my out group, right? They're kind of contrarian in that way. There's a lot of people who are like that, you know. China is not our friend, Iran is not our friend, Russia is not our friend, North Korea not our friend. You would be amazed at how many people on the right actually think that these people are our friends, and that's why you know, I never got on board with the third position thing because it always seemed like a cope from people who were losing. It's one of those things where it's like there's this episode of F is for Family, right? Where like I'm gonna butcher this, but there's somebody at a job, right? Ah, fuck. You see, I'm already butchering it. Basically, like, there's a scene in F is for Family, right, where like if you look it up, it'll be like Italian mobsters or something like that. Maybe I can look it up without getting popped, right? I don't know. We'll have to see though. But look up like F is for Family, is for family, mobster, yeah, mafia. I'll do that. Yeah, Pogo digs his own grave. There's a scene where this dude, Bob Pogo, right? He ends up like selling out his friends after he works against the mafia. He's like trying to fuck with the mafia, and then the mafia turns their attention to someone else, and he tries to do like a Bugs Bunny, and he's like, "Oh, well, it sounds like we should get them Goombas or something like that." You know, I want to see if I can find this. I want to see if I can find this. Da, 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 da. Yeah, whatever. I'm not gonna be able to find it. I'm not gonna be able to find it. You know, F is for Family was an all right show. I didn't absolutely hate it, and it annoys me that I can't get that. But there's a lot of people out there who like they went third position, and that third position philosophy was like a Duganist philosophy, where they're like trying to act like communism is actually a good thing, and like is hey, as long as it's communism among white people or like some shit like that, you know. And it's like it's fucking annoying. I can't stand Bill Burr. Yeah, he used to be so great, and then he got married to that chick, and I think him getting married in general was always going to be a bad thing, but then he had to get married to like a fucking like black chick who looks like a fucking like Michelle Obama wannabe, you know. There's just something about her, you know. And it's like she's just constantly fucking henpecking, you know. I didn't like listen to his podcast, but I'd listen to like clips of his podcast, and before he would have his wife on, it would be like fun and funny, and then when he would start having his wife on, she would just be like flipping out at him on the fucking thing. And it's like, yo, it's so clear that he's like a proto iDubbbz almost, you know, because he was like an iDubbbz before iDubbbz, and then iDubbbz really started getting bad, you know. We don't need America to fight Israel's wars. Nope, nope. Israel is capable of defending itself. Ben Shapiro, yeah, with our money, you know. Uh, Scott, we got fucking World War III going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'm ecstatic. But yeah, like it's tough to decide how I feel about the situation because like I said, I don't want war, but I don't hate America. I'm not angry. I'm not a fucking child. So I don't have to look at things through the lens of there's a good guy and a bad guy everything is controlled by Israel or China or whatever your fucking preferred thing is. Two things can be true at the same time. We can give way too much aid and there can be too much influence from Israel in our country, while also Iran is shitty and they suck. And it would be better if they did not have the Ayatollah in their fucking country. It would be better if we did not have to deal with them, and it would be better if they were not a nuclear power. Those two things can be true at the same time. And that's kind of my situation is like I can see a lot of different sides of this, and it's not like a centrist thing, right? I will side with America 100% of the time, but you have this almost like hatred of America coming from some people on the right, where like, okay, Iran is bombing our shit now. They are bombing US military installations. And what? We're just supposed to be like, okay, 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 I guess. Okay. That's okay. Hey, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Like, no, that's fucking retarded. You were retarded if that's your belief system about this, you know? I'm not saying that it's like we just get to bomb people or anything like that. However, it would be real easy for us to just withdraw from the situation and not do that shit again, right? And then they don't bomb us back, right? Uh, This is not like people are a little too uncomfortable with hypocrisy. And that's something that as time has gone on, I've gotten real comfortable with hypocrisy because you have to realize that that's what your enemy is going to use every single fucking time. You have to hypocrite max in the world today, you know? You need to be screaming at people for things that you would allow your friend to get away with. You need to be willing to fight someone over something that if your brother did, you'd be like, that's fine. You know, that's just the way of the world today. And it's always been the way of global politics. There has never been a time where global politics has been fair and equitable. There's never been a time where in global politics you can go, well, yeah, I threw the first punch and you hit back, so I guess everything's fine. Iran will take that and they will run with it. They will, you know? So, excuse me, it's a situation where if we're going to do this, we need to do this. And I'm not saying I want boots on the ground. I'm not saying I want some kind of protracted conflict or anything like that. But we need a situation where we can come out on top. And you can say what you want about Israel and stuff like that. Fine, whatever. Like, I might agree, I might disagree. I'm not even thinking about them in this case. I'm thinking about America. How are we not going to end up in World War III while also not allowing these fucking towel heads to be able to be like, Allah, 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 Allah Akbar, Allah, Allah. Like we we can do both. We can do both. You know, Israel can suck and Iran can suck too. It's that simple, you know. And that's my issue with a lot of people is that like people almost assume that if you dislike one, you have to like the other, or vice versa, you know, and that's where a lot of that, like, I talked about, I mentioned Dugan, right? That's where that Duganist shit, that, like, well, actually, China is pretty based. Actually, China is pretty based. They don't let kids play video games all day in China. Well, you know, in China, they shame men who jack off. China's pretty based, actually. China's the good guys. I think China should actually invade America. Like literally, I can remember not even 10 years ago, people in the political sphere like sitting in Telegram groups that I'm a part of and stuff like that. I don't go on Telegram anymore for this fucking reason. Like people in Telegram, people on Twitter, people on other like social media platforms and things like that going, actually China, China would be a great liberator if they came here. It's like, no, they don't even treat their own people right. You think they're gonna they don't treat the Chinese right. You think they're gonna treat the fucking Guaylo? You think they're going to treat us the right way? Fuck no. That's never going to happen. It's just frustrating dealing with these people. Iran isn't the one exporting anti-white gay ideology everywhere. That's American doing that. Okay, and what do you want? So what? I have to let people push me around. I have to let people push my people around. I have to watch military installations that are staffed by people like me and you get bombed and just be like, no, okay, all right. Well, we made Iraq gay, so that means we deserve it. No, fuck that. Fuck that. And fuck you. Americans have a sickness. White Americans have a certain kind of sickness, especially. I've talked about this. One of the sicknesses of the millennial generation well, I won't even talk about the racial aspect necessarily, right? But one of the sicknesses of especially our generation is the belief that um, we have to just lay down and let the world walk all over us. And each wing has its own version of that. You have people on the left wing who think we're just supposed to take in criminals and just like anybody who decides they want to come to America, we have to let them in and we have to let them stay and we have to provide for them and we have to. Meanwhile, other countries get to not do that and it's all good. You know, the right wing has this thing where they're like, well, actually, I mean, we made Afghanistan gay for a little while, so that means people get to bomb us now. We gotta just be okay with the bombings now. We gotta be all right with it. And it's like, no, get out of here. It's like, holy fuck. Um, Scott, so did Iran bomb the UAE first and we're retaliating? Uh, no. We bombed them first. But also, fuck you. I get to bomb you and you don't get to bomb me. Eat shit. Like genuinely. That is I know. I know. You guys are sitting here like, "Wow, Scott's an asshole." Yeah. Yeah, I am. I'm a hypocrite. Yes, I am. 100%. I am a hypocrite. I don't want my people bombed. I want other people bombed. Truthfully, I don't want anyone bombed. All right, let's step out of the logic that we're working with here, right? I don't want anyone bombed in the first place. But if anyone's gonna have to be bombed, I don't want it to be my people. I'd rather my people be doing it to other people. And if I bomb you and you bomb me back, I want to hit you with a bigger bomb. You guys thought American supremacy? You guys thought that the American world, the American way of life was guaranteed by what, the fucking Constitution? Did you guys think it was guaranteed by like just being like, "Oh, hey, these guys who fucking hate us and they want us to die, they're coming up in the world and they're going to use all the influence they can muster to try and fuck with us. I guess we just got to let them do that." Hell no. That's not the way that it was. I'm not some kind of war hawk or anything like that. I don't want war. However, at the end of the day, if Americans are going to die, there needs to be a pound of flesh. And that doesn't even necessarily need to be bombs. However, it's the most simplistic way of doing it is bomb them more, right? There could be other things that we do, but the bottom line is, and the point that I'm trying to make is like, I don't hate fucking America. For some reason, a lot of America First people are like there were I let me pull this tweet up because it kind of sums up the way that I feel. I actually saved it because I knew I was going to be talking about this and I knew there were going to be people who were like, "No, fucking you suck for that." Um, that's kind of what Israel and neocons are counting on, get some US casualties so they can have their war. And like you guys this is why people need to like fight, right? And I don't just mean like mixed martial arts, though mixed martial arts really helps, right? Because you don't get arrested for MMA. But I'm talking about the shit that I was involved in, where I was protecting women and children from left wing terrorists for a few years of my life. You realize that there is no conversation to be had with somebody when the gloves come off. There is no time to think, oh, but is what I'm doing completely and totally okay? Is what I'm doing going to feed into another plan that somebody has? Is what are the ramifications of what I'm doing? When it's time to fight, it's time to fight, and there needs to be a situation where we don't back down and the other guys back down. There has to be some semblance of that, whether again it's through bombs or if it's through something else. I understand you guys don't like Israel. I'm not a fan either. I'm not a fan either. However, to sit here when the bullets are flying, the bombs are dropping, to be like, "Well, but we're feeding right into what Israel wants," you're going to get killed and it's going to be your fault. It's going to be your fucking fault that you get killed. That's just the way it is. There's a saying from ancient Rome, do not quote law to men with swords. The men with swords have fucking showed up. It's about time to stop talking and start pulling your fucking swords. But anyway, um I'm America first. Now watch as I praise every nation and group that hates America. Tell Americans they should be paralyzed into inaction. Call for the death of the nation and side with trooned out third world communists. Wait a second, I think you might be trying to trick me. This is and this is like that sums up what I'm talking about. That sums up what I'm talking about, right? I don't like Israel. I don't want to be doing the bidding of other nations, regardless of what nation it is. You know, it could be fucking Zimbabwe. Like I don't want to be a puppet, right? And we are puppets right now. It's just the way it is. What you gonna do? But the bottom line is like there needs to be something. You know, the only guy that gets hurt in a brawl is the guy that shows up and isn't fighting, right? The guy that gets hurt is the guy that shows up to the fight going, "Hey, can't we just talk about this?" We cannot be the guys who are like, "Hey, let's just talk about this." I don't want a war. I don't want a war. What I'm saying is we need to aggressively pursue something where we get off better than before. It's that simple, you know? And it's like I said, Israel and Iran can both fucking suck. A lot of people have this weird thing where they think only one of them can be the good guy and one of them can be the bad guy. It's the marvelization of the world. You know, not even just the world, but the Western world, especially America. A lot of people think because they hate cape shit that it's like, oh, haha, I'm better than that. You're not. You're fucking not. Most people are not. Most people don't have the intellect to consider things from a realistic point of view. So they have to get their morality and they have to get their praxis, their mode of operation. They have to get it from a fucking TV somehow, you know? And because of that, like I said, you have people talking like China's the good guy. Iran is like, oh, but they're just defending themselves. Yeah, they're defending themselves by killing our people. So we got to make them stop that. I don't know what to tell you, you know? You can hate the US government without hating the US. I mean, I agree, but I don't think that's what a lot of people are doing, is the issue. And these people who hate the US government, what are they doing? This is what they're doing. This is what the people that hate the US government are doing. They're just the Iran gets bombed. That's what Nick Fuentes is doing. This is what Nick Fuentes is doing right now. This is what everybody on Twitter is doing right now. They're sitting on their asses. They're working on creating a dent in their chair, in the seat of their chair that is shaped like their asses. That's what's going on. There is never any effort to make a legitimate positive change. Sitting behind a fucking microphone is not making a positive change. And I know that's what I'm doing right now. I've done more than that to make a positive change. You can look at the world in certain areas and see that positive change that I've made, both big and small. I've told you guys a little bit about it. Particularly, I believe it was the last stream. I kind of divulged a little bit about it, right? Fucking at the end of the day, sitting here being a bitch on Twitter, being a female on Twitter, doesn't do anything to help the situation in any way, shape, or form. So to sit here and be like, you can hate the US government and not hate the US, it's like, well, what is the US doing to rein in the US government? Nothing? Okay, well, the people over in Iran, the people over in China, the people in all these other nations, they don't see a difference, you know? September 11th, right? Like I know there's people have their thoughts on that and who was behind it and who wasn't and stuff like that. Regardless of who was behind it, somebody had to be flying that shit. And if it was those dudes from that terrorist organization, notice how they didn't target any government facility or anything like that. And like look, 9/11 may not be the best example of that because we all know that was fucky, right? But just an example of like terrorism rarely ever targets anything that is just US government. The only time they do that is when the US government is in their nations because they can't afford plane tickets to get over here so that they can kill civilians. But when you look at a lot of these Islamic terrorists, where are they doing their attacks? They're doing them at Christmas markets. They're doing them at nightclubs and things like that. Soft targets with civilians. They're not going after the fucking government. They're not even going after mailmen or something like that. They're not even going after soft target government workers, you know? So when you're sitting here and you're trying to differentiate between the US government and the United States, I understand and I agree, you know? However, on the flip side, they don't. They don't understand, they don't agree, they don't care. We're all the same to them. We're all the same to them. Yeah, that's just the way it is. Anyway, fucking it took 75 years for the USSR to collapse despite it being a bad system, but it would have been much better if they were never communist to begin with. For sure, for sure, you know? People are people. The issue is power hungry people in charge. Yes, I agree. You know? Trying to look around, you know. Bill Burr's son is blacker than an OG PlayStation 3. Does he have a son now? I knew he had a daughter. You know, I don't know. I don't know if he has a. I don't know if he has a son now. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he does. Like I said, I stopped paying attention to him. You know, I stopped paying attention to him. Iran is not some crazy unhinged country though. They literally agreed with almost every demand. Oh yeah, like you guys seem to think you're talking to John McCain here. Like I'm aware of everything. I know this stuff. However, as somebody who understands the realities of violence, as somebody who understands the realities of geopolitics, right? And I'm not saying I'm an expert in geopolitics. I'm an expert in violence, not geopolitics, but I know enough about it to understand the way these things happen. There has to be some kind of concession from Iran in this situation. They fought back. I'm not even saying I don't understand it. Like I totally get it. Yes, they got attacked, they're fighting back. As an American though, it is in my best interest to not be like, "Hey, we got to leave them alone. They killed some of our people." No, 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 but we hit them first, so that means we got to leave them alone is what we got to do. Like fuck that. No. You know? Listen to Bernie Getz talk about violence. Let's see shit, violence W. Well yeah, violence W. There's excuse me. I'm trying to see if there's a clip of it. You know, I got to I got to go to old Sterling's channel. You know, the fact is a lot of politics is a grift, you know. A lot of politics is a grift. Um, Damn, it's tough to know which one because he's fucking he tells a story about Bernie Getz, and it's like yeah, I don't think I'm gonna find that right away. I don't think I'm gonna find that right away. Um, Old Sterling's a cool channel though. I like his stuff. He's starting to grow. He's got almost 20K subs now. I remember seeing him at like 4 or 5, I believe, is when I found his channel. But yeah, I there's a video on his channel where he talks about Bernie Getz, and I'm having a hard time finding it because it's not like he branded it as the Bernie Getz video. So it's like I'm not gonna look through each of them to figure out. But if you can find a video on his channel about Bernie Getz, there is, for one thing, it's a very interesting video that tells the story of what happened with Bernie Getz, the subway vigilante in 80s New York, when there was that crime wave that started happening in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s into the 90s. Um, he ended up shooting a few kids, basically. They were like 15, 16. They were like 15, 16. They were trying to rob him on the New York subway, and knowing that they were probably going to try and hurt him, he ended up shooting them. I think all of them survived. If not, maybe one of them died. It's an interesting story about basically a falling down type of incident. It wouldn't surprise me if the Bernie Getz situation had something to do with the writing of Falling Down, right? But he talks about the reality of violence. He talks about how unthinking it is, um how brutal it is, and how primal it is. And it's not just as simple as he hit me and that hurt for a second. There are undertones to violence that, unless you were a victim of it, you don't really completely and totally understand. I can tell you about it as, again, an expert in violence who has been the victim of extreme violence and who has also doled out extreme violence in the form of mixed martial arts and kickboxing competition, right? Um, I can tell you about it, but you're never really going to understand it until you end up like taking those lumps. It's just kind of a reality, you know? If you don't understand the reality of it, you probably have an opinion that goes something like, no, we're doing Israel's bidding. No, you know? And it's like two things can be correct at the same time, two things can be wrong at the same time. You can understand the ramifications of what you're doing, but also have to prioritize survival or some other aspect of making sure that you come out on top in a situation. And then hopefully later on, you can deal with those ramifications. And that is what I would hope would happen. But the unfortunate reality is the grift right. That's them 24/7, 365. Every now and again, they uh N word, the Jews, but they don't fucking do anything else. That's it. It's a grift. They're just making money. That's it. You know? So yeah, it bothers me. It fucking bothers me, you know? Yes, Yoshi, this is live. I don't know if you're still here. You know, I'm sure some people left because I'm not telling them exactly what they want to hear. I'm telling them what they need to hear, you know? Scott, do you practice Krav Maga? Nah. Iran is bombing back right now. Like right this second right now. I know they hit some strikes earlier. I know they hit some strikes earlier, you know? Um I'll go ahead and I'll search that. You guys trying to change the subject because you don't want to hear any more of it because like I'm disagreeing with you. It's very very apparent, you know? Fucking um don't like be a man about it. Not to be an asshole, you know, but be a man about it, you know? Fucking what? You can't hear an uncomfortable truth. You have to everything has to be uncomfortable. Everything has to be comfortable all the time. Everything has to fit in a box that you can pick up and manipulate. You can't have an uncomfortable truth. You can't have an uncomfortable conversation about it. It's like, fuck, man. You know, that's one of the reasons why I got that's one of the reasons why I got out of politics, is because for one thing it was just time, but for another thing I was tired of people coming in acting like they knew more than I did about organizing, more than I did about what is going to fix the world and things like that. You know, you got people who, and I'm not saying this is you guys, I'm just saying in general, right? Like, you have people who only just started paying attention last week, who now they got it all figured out, and they're coming into your group chat trying to act like they're going to be like the leader of your fucking organization or something like that. You know, trying to tell you how things are supposed to go, you know? It's like, holy fuck. Anyway, um yeah, like, you see, like, and this is what I'm talking about. You know, Jake Shields has become very feminine about this shit, you know, and Jake Shields is just, he's mainly just trying to be correct about things. Jake Shields is one of those guys who, he just wants to be correct. He wants to be able to say that he is right and you are wrong. That's part of what makes an MMA fighter. I have that same thing too, right? Except I can at least dial it back enough to be like, okay, you know, maybe you're right about that. If you guys haven't noticed, if you guys haven't noticed, geez, got fucking food stuck in my teeth. If you guys haven't noticed, when you're saying things that are true, I say, yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I agree. You know, fucking Jake Shields though, not so much. You know, and he has become successful by being that way. You have to. He's a UFC slash MMA fighter, 5-time world champ. He's a legend of the game. I'd love to meet Jake Shields one day. You know, but when it comes to his political shit on Twitter, he's a fucking female. You know, rooting for your country to get nuked to own the Jews. That's, again, you know, he says at this point, I'm hoping Iran has a nuclear missile. I'm sure what he means is he's hoping that they do it to Israel. But the thing is, it's not just gonna be Israel, you know? Anyway, um, can you put any live cams in the corner? I can try. Let me check it out. Iran. Does anybody have any good streams though? Does anybody have any good streams? I can put a live cam in the corner. You know, live Israel and U.S. attack Iran nonstop multicam stream. Shit, I guess this is the one. I guess that's the one. Bada bing. Got to see what I can do here. The multicam may not be the greatest idea though, because yeah, it's kind of a tough one, kind of a tough one. Hmm. Man, I'd like to do, yeah, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough. I want you guys to be able to see everything as it's coming in. You know, remember when Jake Ellenberger sent him into the Shadow Realm? I actually don't know if I ever saw that fight. You know, when it comes to stuff from that era, I am kind of iffy because I was aware of MMA, but I wasn't as aware of it. I wasn't watching it as much. I knew who Jake Shields was at the time that he was like kind of at the height of his career. And I watched a couple of his fights, but I don't think I watched the Ellenberger fight. Americans are so cucked. Yeah, you know, it's like, um, oh, holy fuck, man! Look at this. Look at this. You see these flags? You see these fucking flags? Holy fuck, man! Yo, that's so fucking funny. That's so funny. People are saying this is not the real one, so I'm gonna hold on one sec. I'm gonna see if I can find a better one. Like, excuse me. What it comes down to a lot of the time, what it comes down to a lot of the time is that people want answers, they want solutions, but they don't want to work for a solution. Either that or maybe they just want to complain. They don't actually want a solution, right? There's some semblance of the recognition that something is bad while also simultaneously either not having a real solution or not wanting to put the work in to find one and implement one. you know? So what a lot of people do is they try to outsource that. They try to pass that on to other people by either blaming someone for the lack of solution or by pitching their cart in, by throwing their hat in with somebody else who claims to have a solution, right? And a lot of the time, if you throw your hat in with somebody who does not care about you, their solution will not actually benefit you, right? Someone like Nick Fuentes, I don't really hear solutions from him that much. I hear complaining. Years ago, I used to hear solutions. He used to say, no, we have to infiltrate, use entryism to gain control of things. That is true. That is 100% correct. But that entryism is going to be very, very slow and it's going to be very not fun. It's not going to be sexy. You know, a lot of people want a sexy, a cool, solution to all the problems in the world that they feel need to be fixed. They want they want 007 versus what the reality of spycraft is, which is actually really fucking boring. You're not going to parties, seducing the girl, and like killing 10 people on your way out the door to go fuck that girl you seduced. That's not actually how it goes, you know? Fucking a lot of spycraft is just kind of hanging around, staking out, fucking taking pictures of stuff, taking video of stuff, trying to get to know somebody, pretending to be somebody's friend, hoping that they'll eventually give you access to something that you want. You know, that's what a lot of spycraft is. People want the sexy 007 solutions to things when the reality is it's a fucking Cold War CIA sitting in a fucking safe house for 2 months in some like fucked up desert country type shit. That's the reality, you know? And when something like this happens, people scramble to try and get on the right side of history. People try to scramble to get on what they think is going to be the winning team. They want to attach to a winning boat, you know? And it makes it really tough. It makes it really fucking tough. Still looking for lives. If anybody, Scott Telegraph is covering it up to the minute. Oh, okay. I guess we will telegraph. Um, um, the Telegraph. I'm looking for a live. I don't see a live though. Maybe it's on their website. Of course, they want me to log in. You can eat my dick. Yeah, you know what? Telegraph Iran. Sometimes I say Iran, sometimes I say Iran. You know, I don't it's whatever comes out first. Whatever comes out first, you know. Um Israel is not our ally. Yeah, they're not our ally. They're our greatest ally. Next time you see an IDF guy, you buy him a fucking beer. We back the blue. We back the blue around here. We back the blue and white around here. Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding it, Bailey J. Like I don't see a live stream for it. Jeez, wrong one. Yeah, I don't see a live stream for it. I want to find it though. Maybe it's on X, maybe it's on Twitter or something like that. Uh, bomb, Iran. Um, excuse me. Supporters of the Iranian government flew the flag of the Ayatollahs in central London on Saturday in protest at American-Israeli strikes. They should be sent away from the country then. Fucking supporters of Iran. So just, fucking Iranian citizens and leftists, basically. Get them out of the country. Um, oh wait, whoop, wrong one. Okay, hopefully that will do. Does anybody have a live stream? Whatever. I'm gonna have to check that out then. Iran live stream ABC News stream 6 hours ago. We got Fox. I don't know if I want to watch Fox. Associated Press, I guess, would be. It says live interceptions in Tel Aviv after U.S. and Israel launch attack on Iran. So hopefully that's hopefully we're gonna see Iron Dome. Hopefully we're gonna see my tax dollars at work here. Hopefully that's what's gonna happen. I'll put it up here for now. Got a lot of fucking oh no. I thought that was I thought that was an Indian flag. I thought that was an Indian flag. Hold on. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, like it's tough because like I don't know who to go to because I don't trust Fox or CNN to show me what's going on, you know? Like this is an actual live stream of Tel Aviv, you know? I did see some shit earlier where Iron Dome was doing its thing and a missile got through. Like Iron Dome is not really like a dome, it's more like a sieve, you know, like you know those strainers you pour pasta in. It's more so like that, you know. Missiles do get through. They definitely do, you know. There are no good happening streams right now. There used to be way more. Oh yeah, you know. I can remember the George Floyd race riots. I can remember that. Even before that, like you know, there were so many people at like those street battles and stuff like that that used to go on in the country. You used to get people all over the place just like covering those, you know. Now it's like there's BG on the scene, which I don't like. I don't like supporting that guy because he's left leaning. It's very clear his bias. You know, he tries to act like he's just there to like film stuff, but what he decides to film and when is very obviously curated by him and his sensibilities, you know. Same thing, there's this one dude, I forget what his fucking name is, but he still runs around doing his thing. It bothers me because we wanted to give this guy the business years ago because he was oh man, what was his fucking name? Dude, there's another guy. I can't remember his name for some reason, but you know, he's there. He does his thing and he tries to make sure he's very careful to only film certain things that make certain people look good or bad, you know. Even just during the 12-day war, they had a ton of live cams in Israel. It was nonstop. Yeah, you know, like what is this? It almost looks like a still image. There's like nothing, not even the cloud. You don't even see the clouds shifting, you know. Like clouds like that, they float through the air. I don't see those clouds shifting at all. They're just kind of like sitting there, you know. um um Apparently it's buffering now too. It's like what the fuck is going on? But Israel cracks down on live footage of missiles because their enemy can use it to calibrate. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, you know. Um, Protesting in another country is always gay, no matter what side. Yeah, you know, like you would never if the troubles erupted again. As much as I love Ireland, you would never see me at like the British embassy. There's a British embassy in Cambridge, Mass. You would never see me outside of the fucking British embassy with a potato sign or anything like that. It's like, nah. You know, I think I'll let them do their thing. Hope nobody gets too hurt, and free the six counties. You know, but you're not gonna see me in America like outside the British embassy, like fucking let him go. It's like, nah, get like fuck that, dude. You know, it's because the clouds are painted on the Iron Dome. Ah, yes, that makes tons of sense, Mike Johnson. That makes exact sense. Scott, NBC and CBS has live coverage on YouTube right now. Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll search for them. Oh, CBS. Excuse me. Hey. Oh man, I can't fucking. So yeah, this must be oh, this must be earlier in the day because it looks like it's like midday. You know, it looks like it's this time here except over there. You know,
attacks
um,
against U.S. facilities in the region. This is in January of
man,
2020, and with the U.S. joining the
uh,
Israelis in the 12-day campaign with Operation Midnight Hammer against their nuclear forces, is that President Trump was determined to kind of break that cycle, recognizing that
I'd
if
like
we
to check
continue
out
on this path, it's kind
I'd
of
like
like
to check
a
out
definition of insanity
the
that attributed
NBC
to
one
Albert
as well to
Einstein
see
doing
which
the
one of
same
those
thing,
is better.
expecting a different.
Um,
That's there also in the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Jordan, Saudi
Jeez,
Arabia has seen its territory attacked. At this hour, there are no reported American casualties.
that's
Now,
pretty wild.
within the last hour, U.S. Central Command posting this video of the early morning coordinated strikes. Officials telling NBC News that these attacks are
Early
significant
morning.
in scope, much larger than last
That's
year's
like
attack,
12
and
p.m.
that the
That's like
ongoing
midday.
operation
Like
could
early
last
morning. No,
for
that's
several days.
the
The Prime
this.
Minister of
I went to bed
Israel
last
saying
night.
that
Obviously, it's
there
dark
would
out. I
be
went to bed like
definitely
3:30
some
a.m.
activity
and
for the
that's
next
around when the
21
strikes
days.
came. You're not like
NBC's
these
chief
are not early
correspondent
morning
Piers
strikes
Simmons
unless
is with
there
us
was
live
another
in
round of
Dubai once
strikes
again.
from America,
Here, the fact that
and those
Morocco
are some of them. You
would
know,
step
I
up
don't know for
and
sure.
say that they show their complete solidarity and support of, among other places, Saudi Arabia. We have to remember that Morocco has been plagued with
There is
peaceful fright
4 hours ago from
supported by
Inside
Iran for
Wire. It says
decades now,
breaking: the
but
Iranian
also other
supreme leader
countries
was
in the Middle
supposedly
East
killed during the U.S.-Israeli
also
strikes.
supporting
This is according to
what is
Israeli
going
media,
on
though, so
and
I don't trust
opposing
that at
Iran,
all. I don't
including the
trust that as far
conversation
as
that
I
the
can
Crown
throw it.
Prince
You know,
of Saudi
I do
Arabia
find that
just had
interesting, though.
with Egypt.
Oh, yeah, you just mentioned that, Bailey J. You mentioned it
Jack,
as I was mentioning
this
it.
is
You
a
know,
disaster
yeah.
for Iran.
I am
What's
curious about it.
happening
You
in
know,
this specific region in the Gulf area, the Arab countries here in the
that's
Gulf,
that's Keir
and more
Starmer.
widely, Jordan,
Whoa,
Turkey, Middle Eastern countries, as
that's
you mentioned,
Bahrain.
North Africa, they weren't united in their view of the potential for a strike by the Trump administration on Iran. They are now
Jeez, that's wild.
united in their reaction almost entirely. There are some differences. The Omani foreign minister, who was mediating
I
the
wonder who
talks
that
between
was.
Iran and the US, put out a scathing
I think they talk in
statement
terms of Eastern
earlier
time
today,
zones.
questioning
Yeah,
why
you
the
know,
Trump administration
duh,
would
that makes
launch these
sense.
strikes when
That that that
negotiations were continuing.
that does make
But as
sense.
you
I'll give you
mentioned,
that. I'll give you
the
that.
Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, who is an increasingly
Mohammed bin
towering
Salman.
figure in the region, has been speaking to other leaders,
Supposedly they
including
killed
to
Khomeini's
the
daughter and
president of
son-in-law. It's
the
pretty weird
United
they
Arab
all
Emirates, where
weren't
I
in
am.
secure locations.
And that is
Yeah, I
a
mean,
kind of uniting of those two leaders
like
that we
you know,
haven't seen for some
you're
time.
gonna
And
like
he, Mohammed
I'm
bin
sure
Salman,
these
offered
came out of
complete
nowhere.
support
I'm sure
for
it's
the
not like
United Arab
they got
Emirates because I
forewarning in
am
some way,
here in
shape, or form.
Dubai
You know,
and we have heard
Israel is
explosions
known for
right
surprise
the way
attacks.
through the
That's what they
day.
do.
You
You
mentioned
know,
CENTCOM.
um,
Just as we came
and
together this hour,
it wouldn't surprise
Jose,
me to
putting out a
find
statement
that
saying it has,
like even
this
if
is US
Khomeini
Central
ended
Command,
up in a
for
safe
people who don't
place,
know,
that's only because he was
they're
somewhere
saying
near a
that
safe place.
they have
His daughter
successfully
and his
defended against
son-in-law, like
hundreds
they
of
could have been
Iranian
like at
missile
the
and drone
beach or something
attacks
like that, just
launched
hanging out,
in
and then like
retaliation to the
there just
strikes.
happened to be a
Now,
target,
that
a
doesn't
priority
surprise me from
target
what we've
there.
been hearing.
You know?
What has surprised me, though,
Oh,
is
excuse me.
the images that we have seen. You showed the really frightening one
Would
at
wait
the
a bit
beginning
before
there,
believing that
with the
because
images
last
that we
time
have
they said
seen
the
of
same thing.
civilian
Yeah.
infrastructure
It's
being
like I
hit.
said. You
That
know,
apartment block in
Israel
Bahrain.
is going to say whatever
There's
they feel like they
also
can say to try
pictures
and
of
convince
a
people that they.
substantial fire
Excuse me.
outside of a
They're
hotel
gonna say
here
whatever they
in
feel like they have to say to
Dubai
try and
on
convince
a
people
very famous part of
that
Dubai
they're
called
like
Palm
supreme.
Jumeirah,
You know,
and the
um,
authorities here in
and
the UAE,
that's
in
one of the
Kuwait,
like
in Qatar,
that's
in Bahrain,
Like,
in Saudi.
one
They
of the
are
things that you
saying that
learn,
they have
I'm
intercepted
gonna
many of the.
I'm gonna put this on a mute for a second, but one of the things you learn when you are in activism is that it is less important what is true and more important that you, one, get there first, and two, whatever you say is more damaging to your enemy than whatever they can say, right? It doesn't matter what happened, lie about it. Like, honestly, lie about it. Um, this is a lesson that I learned from activism, not because we were like, yeah, let's lie, but because we realized, like, oh, like, they're gonna lie about us, so we need to spin anything and everything that happens to make sure that they look worse than us, you know? And when we had that revelation, we started doing stuff like that. We started printing flyers that were meant to look like left-wing flyers that they said like the craziest shit. You know, like we printed one, it actually made it on Reddit. It was like we said straight sex is homophobia type shit. And it's like, obviously that's fake as fuck. But the average person doesn't know that, and the average person doesn't care. And plus, if we're being honest here, that's not too far off from what they were saying anyway. We were just saying their quiet part out loud. They want to see specifically the death of white people, right? We had something about white people on there too. It was like sex with whites is Nazism or something like that, white supremacy or whatever. We had that on there, right? And then we like they want the death of white people and they want as many gay people as they possibly can. And you had a phase, this phase is not even completely gone. They're just being more quiet about it. They're saying, uh, they didn't say this, but it was basically like the joke was they would say, suck the dick, bigot. You know, like suck the trans dick, or you're a bigot, you're a transphobe, you're a homophobe, you're this or that, another thing, right? They tried to shame people into literally being gay and trans. So what we did wasn't even like lies. It's just obviously it was put in a way that they would never want to put it because it sounds bad that way. It sounds a lot worse that way, you know? So that's what Israel's doing. They're if not the originators of it, they're the people who mastered that. Just being like rapid fire bullshit. Maybe some of it turns out true. The stuff that's false, the fact that you're sitting there like, no, actually, that's false. It actually looks worse on you. It actually looks worse on you to explain yourself. It's better to just ignore things than to explain it away in a lot of cases. You know, there's some things you can't ignore. And for that, you don't explain it away. You just say, no, that's been debunked actually. No, that's a lie. You're making up lies. You're just a straight liar. That's been debunked. Experts know that that's not real. If anybody believes that, they're stupid, and you're a liar because you're purposefully trying to propagate it, even though you know it's been debunked. That's the way you have to do it, you know? I don't know what, like, you know, again, like it's one of those things where like it's pretty things that we wish could be true versus what is actually true, you know? And you have to hypocrite max. It's just the way it is. If you want to win this war, you have to be willing to hypocrite max, you know? It ain't pretty, it doesn't sound pretty. It's not. But I mean, hey, they're doing it to you and they've been winning this entire time because of that. So you have to be willing to do it to them, you know? What do you think fucking lampshades was? You know? What do you think bars of soap was? You know? Um, these countries are all American experiments in the region. They exist because they're allowed to. Essentially, yeah. Essentially. Especially something like Israel, you know? Hasn't the Middle East started running out of oil, which is why Saudis moved into sports funding? Why are they still caring about the deserted area of the globe? Because of the Bible? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Saudi oil. You know, beats me. Um, Maybe that's true. You see, I figured the Saudis were doing sports because it was a way to try and control the bread and circuses so that they can exert their will onto the world in some way, shape, or form, you know? That's what's happening with boxing. That's what's happening with MMA slowly, you know? And it's happening with more stuff. You know, there was somebody, I forget who it was, but it was somebody who they used to write books. I forget if it was fictional or if it was nonfiction, but they used to write books about the Viking Age. And they made not a movie, what the fuck? They made a video for their YouTube channel talking about how they were approached by somebody who had money and they were Muslim. And they said, hey, we want to fund your books. I have $100,000 for you right here for you to just make some books. And since you're making some books, I figured you might as well talk about the Muslim Vikings that existed. And it was like the dude was like, there were no Muslim Vikings. What the fuck are you talking about? That guy was literally trying to pay somebody who was some kind of authority on Viking history to be like, actually, there were Muslim Vikings. That's what they're trying to do. You know, there's really not a big difference between Islam and Judaism. You know, it's just one of them is a little bit better at scheming than the other, if we're just being honest. You know, you see the cohesion of the Jewish community and their ability to just be like, nah, we're gonna lock this thing down, and it's like impeccable, you know. And that's why Jews are so successful, is because they push each other and themselves into positions of power. You know, it's specifically in like finance and things like that. You know, finance, law, things like that. It's just the way that they do things. I'm not even saying it's like a good or a bad thing. That's just why the Jewish community is so successful. You know, there is a work ethic behind that, right? It's not like they're just sitting here like, I want to be a lawyer, and then they get handed their shit. Like, there is a work ethic, you know? But that's why Jews in America and in a lot of places are successful that way, because they try to find the money and go to that. They don't do that whole find yourself bullshit, you know? The Muslims, they're kind of in the same boat, except they're not as good at sticking together in that way, you know? Like even like a lot of these nations that got bombed, even if they were targeting American assets in those nations, they were Muslim nations. They were Islamic nations, you know, Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, you know, those are Muslim nations. So it's like, you know, they don't exactly get along like that. You know, they try to whenever they can, and that's part of the reason why groups like the Islamic State formed. You know, is because they would have taken over the entire Islamic world if they had the ability to, and if given enough time and resources, they could have. You know, all things considered, they just would have it wouldn't have been in the next 5 years type shit. You know, they would have had to be a developing nation. They would have had to try to land contracts with like the right people and stuff like that to make military hardware, you know, maybe not like this, but just stuff that could actually take out, say, like in Iran or a Saudi Arabia or something like that, you know. If they were just left to do their thing, I do believe they could have done that, you know. Maybe I'm wrong, but you know. All right, let's see here.
Importance of that for the world economy, for oil and gas, and it's not that difficult. We've seen that. I mean, just as, you know, kind of pretty ragtag.
All right, so let's see here. This is U.S. presence in the Middle East. Other site with U.S. presence. So long-term U.S. controlled base. This is the Mediterranean. That's Turkey, I believe. That's Greece. Turkey and Greece, right? I'm pretty sure. This is I forget what island that is. I forget if that's Crete or not. So Syria, Egypt, Jordan, Iraq. That's Jordan there. Iran. So this is Iran trying to probably attack anything around them at this point.
A group like the Houthis have managed to close a shipping lane. The Iranians can easily do that, and it's very difficult to know how the US and Israel would put that genie back in the bottle, if you like. So I guess in a way you could put it this way, and it's an echo from the Iraq War. Okay, the US and Israel aren't putting boots on the ground, but the idea still.
You see, that's another thing too, is like And again, this is all part of hypocrite maxing. Ooh, damn. Oh, damn, that's crazy. That was a fucking bomb. I would have expected that thing to be kind of like shooting towards the ground, not just like this is yeah, Doha, Qatar. Yeah, so that is an Iranian something bomb. I don't think that's a missile. That's pretty crazy, but that's something that, again, like hypocrite maxing. Like, yeah, we're gonna go into your country, we're gonna blow it to smithereens, and no, we're not taking any of your fucking people in afterwards. You're on your own. We have to be willing and able to do that kind of thing. We have to be willing and able, like, if we did put boots on the ground, which again I would never actually like want that, but wow, that's pretty crazy. Damn, that's insane. I would never want boots on the ground in a nation like that, but if we were to put them there, we aren't taking any refugees. We better not be. Neither should Europe. Like, hey, that's your nation. You guys do your thing in there. You rebuild it. We're done playing with your toys. We're going to break them and you get to put them back together. Yeah, that was a missile. That one was a missile right there. You have to be willing and able to have that kind of outlook on things, you know. If you don't have that kind of outlook on things, you will never be a real leader. You will never be able to look at things and go, okay, I want to make sure that my nation does not get left behind and does not end up subjugated, does not end up under the thumb of another nation. You will never be a leader. And if you're not going to be a leader, then you have no choice but to be a follower. And followers don't speak up when they're told to do something. Followers just do it. That's all that happens. They just fucking do it. That's it, you know? Oh, wait, 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 wait. Let's see what this fucking hoe has in her hand. uh Stop Trump's war, and then fucking you're gonna do a lefty meme at me. You're gonna write a 5 paragraph essay that I have to read. I'm already here. I'm already here. It's pretty clear that I agree with you. You're gonna make me do homework now? Gee, thanks, dumb bitch. Anyway, um yeah, like you have to, you know. Oh, dude, look at how old these bitches are. I can only imagine they probably, if either A, their Vietnam era, or B, their war on terror era people. They're one of the two. I can only imagine they're probably like, dude, it feels like it's 2004 again. Dude, it feels like it's 2004 again. Whoa, dude, that's crazy. Dude, wow. We're all out here again and we're fighting for a better future. It's like we're in 2004 again. Where's Michael Moore? Where's Michael? Is Michael Moore still alive? Did he have a coronary yet? Is Michael Moore alive? Where's Michael Moore? Where's Rage Against the Machine? It's like, holy fuck, man. Anyway, um, part of being a leader is being able to be unfair when it calls for it. And when bullets are flying, when bombs are dropping, that's the time to be unfair. You have no choice, you know. You have to see what you can get out of the situation. It's just the way it is. And me personally, I had to learn to be that way, and I'm not that way unless I absolutely have to be. Typically, I try to be a peacemaker. I try to make sure everybody, even if it's me and somebody else, we're trying to negotiate, I try to make sure they walk away with a little something too, you know. That's why, like I talked about that fight I almost got in a week ago. Like, if that woman, instead of escalating, and if her son, instead of escalating, were like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were here, my bad, I would have said, that's okay, I'm sorry that I got a little aggressive myself, I shouldn't have done that, it just, it came out of nowhere, my bad. That's how the interaction would have gone. That's how the interaction could have gone. But it didn't, because they wanted to fucking escalate. So I had to get unfair, you know? But overall, I would prefer to be able to just be fair and be equitable and be honest about things, instead of having to close the gates and get ready for siege mode. You have to have a siege mentality about some things. You have to understand that you're surrounded on all sides, and if the enemy gets in, you're dead. There is no negotiation. There is no, well, maybe you can kill some of us if you let us have some of this. No, maybe you can kill me a little bit. You can do a little bit of murder on me if I can just have this little thing in return. No, it's I get everything, you get nothing. Anything I give you, you're real fucking lucky that I'm giving it to you. You better not push your luck, because I'll take it right back. You have to be you have to be able to do that. You have no choice in that situation. And it's, again, like people were telling me, people were hitting me with the L's. People were saying L take in the chat. I don't have anything against you. I'm not even trying to be mean, but it is a very naive way to look at the world, to be like, oh, but we were the ones that bombed them first, so like, we need no, we can't retaliate. It's like, no, they bombed us back. Yeah, we get to bomb people. We're the best. We're the greatest. Fuck everybody but us. You have to have that mentality. I'm sorry, I don't know if you saw the vid I tagged you in, but it's crazy. I would assume you mean on the shitter. I will go ahead, take a look at that. No, I have not seen this one yet. In fact, we're gonna look up OSINT Defender after this. That is one thing that was good about having Telegram, is that you stayed right up to date, like up to the minute on what was going on. Twitter is like, it's like Twitter gets everything from Telegram now, hence the fucking Telegram logo. But anyway, yo, whoa, yeah, it's a drone, but it's funny. It sounds like I mean, it's a drone. It sounds like a drone. You would expect it to have, like, you would almost kind of expect it to be to sound less like it's farting. That's wild. Holy shit. I would assume this is because Iran utilized drones and missiles. That is one thing that China and Iran have, is they have an extensive collection of drones. They have a very robust arsenal of drones, both like suicide drones as well as drones like that are going to drop shit on you. I would assume that was some kind of a retaliation, maybe, but then again, I'm not sure. Man, that's wild. Let's read the thing. Cell phone footage showing an Iranian Shahed 136 striking a high-rise residential building earlier tonight in Bahrain. Ah, yes, okay, that is bonkers. That is fucking wild. And then of course, Zach, thank you for tagging me in that. We'll check out OSINT Defender as well. I don't. All right, fuck it. I'll follow it. Anybody who utilizes OSINT, meaning open source intelligence, right? I'm just like, you're fucking gay. All that means is you Google shit. That's all OSINT is. You Google things. Even cybersecurity, right? I knew because that's what we did. We did OSINT back in the activist days too. Fucking. Even cybersecurity, I'm learning about stuff, and like OSINT, I was like, I don't know, maybe there's more to it than that. No, literally just Googling. They gave an example of trying to utilize open source intelligence. The guy fucking Googled what a certain kind of code meant or something like that. What a certain file or piece of malware that he discovered means. But anyway, oh yeah, Mexico's popping off too. Damn, that's wild. 5 minutes ago, U.S. Central Command CENTCOM has published footage showing BGM-109 Tomahawk land attack missiles, TLAM, being launched from Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers, as well as F-35C Lightning IIs and Fa-18E Super Hornet from the USS Abraham Lincoln during today's opening strikes against Iran. Damn, that is. Let's go ahead and let's watch this proper. The U.S. is also deploying our own Shaheeds, though. It's kind of funny that is pretty funny that we just have the same shit. It's like when in the Falklands when everybody had falls, you know. That is wild. Oh, and bang. That is crazy. You know, like this is a good opportunity for the United States, I will say. Um Independent of all the political stuff and all that, right? This is a good opportunity for the United States to remind people that we are not to be fucked with. Venezuela was a good example of that in terms of our capacity to utilize special forces, to do very surgical, very targeted jobs, right? This is a good way for us to show China and Russia that, look, you don't want to fuck with us. Don't do it. Because Iran is China and Russia's friend. I think they're going to sit this one out. That's why people are so nervous about the idea of World War III. If Iran was an island, not literally an island, but if they were isolated, if they didn't have any friends at all, nobody would be worried about it. That's even Venezuela. Like Venezuela, technically they're buddied up with Russia. They're not that close though. They're not that close nowadays, you know. But like people were not as upset, I guess you could say, as they are about this, right? And the scale is different. However, this is a good example of our military capacity, our conventional capacity when it comes to military operations. You know, Russia has been bogged down in Ukraine for what's it been like 4 years now. It was supposed to be like a 2 or 3 week operation, and they were supposed to get in and like take the capital, and everything was going to go well. They cannot get through Ukraine. And granted, we're giving Ukraine some technology, but we're really only giving them our like old tech. We're giving them the shit that we used to use, you know, is really what we're utilizing, is really what we're doing. Excuse me. Russia can't even get through Ukraine on our old tech. China, forget about it. What are they going to do to us? And then, like, regardless of, look, sorry to anybody in England, France, Canada. We kind of got you guys on a leash here. That's just how it is, you know? Whatever we do, you guys kind of do too. That's just what it is. You know, like we alone could take them. But then when we have all those dudes with us, it ain't going to turn out. It ain't going to turn out, you know? Arc Raiders. Yeah. That's what's going on is Arc Raiders. A flying moped. Exactly. Yes. Like that's what it sounded like. A flying moped. Let's see. Fucking they're doing Kalshi shit. They're doing Polymarket shit. Oh boy. Anyway, insane footage showing multiple interceptors from a U.S. Army MIM-104 Patriot surface-to-air missile battery launching and downing Iranian ballistic missiles earlier tonight during an attack on Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, with at least one ballistic missile seen striking the base, reportedly damaging a clinic on Al Udeid. Okay. Probably going to have to invade Britain at some point, the way things are headed. Yeah. Probably be a good thing, you know. We would liberate England. We would liberate England. China and Russia would not liberate England, you know. They basically just have moped engineers on them. Engines, yeah. Like that's like if it's an unmanned vehicle, you want it to be as cheap as possible because there's things you can do with an unmanned vehicle that you can't do with a manned vehicle. You know, like there is a limit. There's an upper limit to the amount of G forces that a human body can take. Like that's one of the reasons why you know how flying saucers, when you see them, they're able to like and then stop and then like change direction suddenly. You couldn't do like a right angle turn in a jet. It just wouldn't work. Your body would not be able to take it. Something would happen. You would pop a blood vessel. Um, in some cases, you might actually like your body might open up, like depending on how fast you're going and how hard the turn is. It's just the way that it is. But with a drone, you can do roughly that type of shit. You know, you can do maneuvers that the average human cannot withstand. So, there's one thing, but then also like you need a shit ton of those things if you're gonna actually be truly effective in the way that you want to be. You know, it's not good to have 5 drones. You need 500 drones. You need 5,000 drones. You need 50,000 drones. You know, you want a whole like almost like how arrows would black out the sky in like a medieval or an ancient battle. Like that's what you want from those kinds of drones. And because of that, you're not gonna have, since quantity is more important than quality. Yeah, you're gonna have like kind of a joke of an engine on there. You're gonna have a joke everything on there. You know, um, especially if it's a suicide drone. It's like, yeah, just fucking pack some dynamite on that thing. Make it out of cardboard. People have this red dwarf fantasy in their head that we don't run shit. I don't know what you mean by that, gay guy. Do you mean like America doesn't run shit? Like America is not like in charge? Because I mean, yeah, America's in charge. You just have to ask who's in charge of America. But when it comes to America, yeah, we are the dominant power. Nobody else is going to stand up to us. It's just the way that it is. Even the wars that we quote unquote lost, the Vietnams, the Afghanistans, we left those countries decimated in a way that they will never recover from. Vietnam is not some kind of like socialist mecca in Southeast Asia. It's not. It's a blip on the map now. It was relevant for as long as we said it was relevant, and when we were done playing with it, we said you can have your toys back after we already fucking broke them, you know? And now Vietnam is never going to be a major power in the world. And I'm like, look, not everything is about being a world superpower or anything like that, but there is a level of like, I mean, we kind of did that to you. Even if you wanted to, you're only ever going to get sugar daddy diplomacy. That's the most you're going to get. You're never going to be a major player in Asia. It's not going to happen. You know, same thing with Afghanistan. Afghanistan will never be a major player in world politics again as long as we're alive, as long as our grandkids, our great grandkids are alive. They will never recover from that. It will not happen. And for people to sit here and be like, oh, well, you fucking lost in Vietnam. Well, you know, the Afghanis won in Afghanistan. It's like, yeah, sure. Fucking enjoy your pile of ashes. We killed 3 of your uncles and your brother. And now you're just going to what, hang out in the rubble? More power to you, man, you know? It's crazy, you know? It's fucking insane. It's funny. It's funny to hear people. It's funny to hear people cope about that. You know, it's like we got bored. We got bored is what happened, and we left. The Taliban was hiding in the mountains. There's a reason why you didn't hear shit about Afghanistan for like 10 years. It's because the Taliban was like, fuck, we better not come out of these caves. They got a beat on us. Soon as I step out of this cave, there's gonna be a red dot right between my eyes. I better not do fucking shit, dude. I can't do anything. Fuck. You wanna play some Go Fish or something? Maybe they'll get bored and they'll leave, and that's what happened. We got bored and we left. You know, same thing with Vietnam. We were actually on the verge of winning that because we were taking down the Ho Chi Minh Trail as well as other targets in Laos and Cambodia, you know? But when that happened, whether it was very well publicized or if it was something that leaked to the American public, the traitors, the subverters in the American public, they went haywire. And because of that, Nixon was like, okay, maybe we'll back out. Maybe we won't do that. You know, let's not, you know. And then eventually, I do believe it was actually Nixon as well who ended the Vietnam War, you know. Maybe some goat fish. Abdul, we cannot come out of the. I'm speaking like an Indian. Abdul, we cannot come out of the cave. Do you want to play some goat fuck? Do you want to play some goat fuck? Superpower status is slipping, though. That's one of the reasons why we see these conflicts. Yeah, I guess it probably is in some way, but also I don't know that these other nations are doing that good of a job because it's like I said, look at Russia. They're caught in Ukraine. They have another Afghanistan situation. A lot of people, I don't know, maybe the people who watch here, only smarty pantses watch my channel. Only smarty pantses watch my channel. So I just realized, oh yeah, I thought that was a thing. Only smarty pantses watch my channel, so you guys may know this already, but Afghanistan, I believe it was like 1978 or 1979, they invaded Afghanistan. The Soviet Union in the late 70s, maybe it was even 1980, they invaded Afghanistan, and that ended up being their own Vietnam, and it was so bad that it directly led to the collapse of the Soviet Union. Um, Russia is in what is essentially a new Afghanistan, or their version of an Iraq or an Afghanistan. You know what I mean, right? You know what I'm trying to say by that. And it ain't looking good for them. They have to rely partially on North Korean muscle, which is actually bad for us when you think about it, because North Korea is learning modern warfare. They're learning how to equip their soldiers. They're learning how to deal with modern tactics, modern technologies, and things like that. You know, a lot of stuff from North Korea is literally still World War II and Cold War era Soviet gifts, basically. You know, so they're slowly learning what the realities of modern conflict is, so it will actually be a little bit tougher to take them down. Their conventional forces will actually be better if that ever goes kinetic again. You know, the time to take down North Korea was probably in the 90s, truthfully. You know, we should have went right in on them after the Soviet Union collapsed. But you know, the thing with China, it's like I don't know how powerful China was back then. We may have just been like, we won the Cold War. Let's be friends with everybody. You know, and look at how well that worked. Look at how well that happened. You know, and again, that's where altruism gets you. What should have happened when the Soviet Union collapsed was we, America, should have been like, all right, how do we get as much of our influence into these countries, whether overt or covert, as we possibly can? You know, but yeah, like I think BRICS is a paper dragon, and it definitely is. It's a paper tiger, paper dragon, whatever you want to call it. Because, like I said, the military arm of BRICS, which was supposed to be Russia, they were supposed to be the guarantor of safety and security via military might. They can't even get through their little brother, you know, China, which was supposed to be a sort of a bank for them. They were supposed to be the monetary arm. They are on quicksand, and they're also trying their best to build up their military, but again, like, their manufacturing's so shoddy, they can't even make good shit, you know? They can't even equip their soldiers with body armor. Each American soldier, at least on the front lines, has body armor. They have fucking plates, level whatever plates, right? China can't even equip their, like, they would quite literally devolve into meat grinder tactics very quickly. They try to show like they're modern and like they have like very good tactics and strategy and stuff like that. They would very quickly devolve into human meat waves, you know. Brazil, India, South Africa, that's what BRICS is. It's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. That's what BRICS stands for. Brazil, forget about it. They would jump ship in a heartbeat. What's South Africa gonna do? Even if they wanted to do something, they're gonna chant "kill the Boer." Yeah, fucking right. India, forget about it. Fucking forget about it. You know, like, are we slipping? Yeah, we have to be very careful. We don't want to be we don't want to be we don't want to be we don't want to let our cockiness make us complacent, but even if we are slipping, the gap between us and the next biggest is so fucking big. It's like, ooh, ooh, Ukraine's loss is certain. It's just a matter of how much they'll lose. I don't know what you mean, like Ukraine or Russia, how much they'll lose. Like, yeah, like is Ukraine gonna lose? There's a good chance they might have to try and work something out at some point, right? But it would be a Pyrrhic victory for Russia is kind of the point that I'm making. Like the fact that they have not gotten through, they were supposed to be the number 5 years ago, they were the number two military in the world. At least in term, I would guess they were the number two military in the world, right? In terms of people that we were kind of looking out for, we were kind of like, ooh, that Russian military. Oh, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, sure, China, they had their 1 million or 2 million man army, but again, like the morale in China's army is not good. It's never gonna be good, you know. And then their technology is lacking, you know. Like, don't get me wrong, like you can do a lot with just tactics, but what we have learned through years and years of winning wars is that the group of people that don't have good technology and they try to make up for it by this like idea of like, oh well, it's okay, we're plucky and we're strong and we're spiritually, our spiritual fortitude is amazing. They just get blown the fuck out. That's what happened to Japan. That was Japan's, excuse me, that was Japan's view of America during World War II. Was we were decadent, we were lazy, our morale was not good because we were just so particular, and we wanted our hamburgers and stuff like that. But our decadence wasn't really decadence, it was proper logistics and the best technology in the war. The only nation that rivaled us technologically was I almost said Europe, was Germany. Those are the only people that technologically rivaled us. You could even say in some cases they outdid us. They created the first assault rifle around the end of the war. It was more of a timing issue on their part. But like our technology, other than maybe Germany's, was so good that Japan really didn't stand a chance. And it's not just that, but it was our manufacturing capacity, our manufacturing capabilities. We churned out tanks, ships, guns, bullets, etc., bombs, planes, like nothing else. And that's why, even though Japan did what they did with Pearl Harbor, they knew, like, it ain't going to work out for us. Like, they did Pearl Harbor hoping and praying that they would do enough damage as to where we would wave a white flag immediately. And that didn't happen. Ask yourself why it didn't happen. You get into those, conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, like, technology matters. Another great example, China and Vietnam. A lot of people don't realize this. I only learned this recently. China and Vietnam actually had a war in the 70s, very shortly after the end of the Vietnam War. And China lost that war. And the reason why they lost is because Vietnam had AK-47s and China was still using bolt action rifles. They were still using fucking I think it was like SVT, like their version of the SVT or something like that. Or no, it wasn't even that. But I think it was like their version of the Mosin they were utilizing. And because of that, combined with poor logistical support from China itself, they lost. And the funny thing is, guess where Vietnam got those AKs? They weren't Soviets, at least mostly they weren't Soviet AKs. They were Chinese variant AKs. China made AKs and sent them to Vietnam as exports during the Vietnam War. And then when they tried to come in, they came in with World War II era weapons. Actually, World War I era weapons. The Mosin was created in the 1800s, I believe. And they got blown the fuck out. And China, they wanted people to believe, well, it's not about how much firepower you have, it's about how you use the firepower. And they got smoked. They got smoked, dude. It was fucking crazy. Learning that was like wild, you know. But anyway, well, realistically, Russia could probably level all of Ukraine, but they don't want to murder all of the populace and still want to utilize the resources. That's fair. That's fair. You know, I think that would also cause an international incident as well, though. That would be that kind of escalation would cause people to get involved. You know, meaning nations to get involved. You know. New Yorkers protesting. Okay, yeah. What else are they gonna do? That's all they know how to do, you know. Israelis reporting Khamenei's body was recovered. Supposedly, images shown to Netanyahu. Yeah, what they show him, dick pics or something like that. Again, like I heard that too. I hesitate to believe it. You know, EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs Kaja Kala. What a fucking name. Has announced a video conference with Foreign Counsel scheduled for Sunday to address the ongoing reciprocal strikes against campaigns between U.S., Israel, and Iran. Additionally, Kallas said that she is in contact with EU Gulf partners and allies, and that Iran's strikes across the region run the risk of significant escalation, saying the Iranian regime has choices to make. Cell phone footage showing Oh, yeah, this is the one you showed me a second ago. Satellite imagery from the Iranian port of Konarak, located on the Gulf of Oman near the border with Pakistan, shows a large fire on board and smoke pouring from a pierside vessel, possibly a warship with the Iranian Navy. Yeah, those look like warships. You know? They kind of look like destroyers to me, but, you know, I'm not exactly the expert in identifying ships. U.S. Central Command, 1 hour ago, U.S. Central Command has announced the launch of Operation Epic Fury that began at 1:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, yeah. With partner forces targeting Islamic Revolutionary Guard core facilities throughout Iran. Following the initial strike, forces defended against hundreds of Iranian drone and missile attacks at facilities throughout CENTCOM. However, there were no U.S. casualties or injuries, and damage is described as minimal with no impact on operations. Well, it's good that as of then, there was no crazy U.S. casualties, you know. Video posted showing the immediate aftermath of an apparent impact of an Iranian missile strike near the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters at Naval Support Activity Bahrain. Oh, man. Kallas is the dumbest person in politics by a mile. Not even saying this out of hate, but out of observation. I've never even heard of her. Is she American? Is she European? I forget what it said. Currently being reported that Khamenei. Yes. Yep. The evisceration of Lebanese Hezbollah's former command structure during Israeli strikes is likely fresh on their minds, and is highly likely that such past operations have influenced their decision to seemingly only provide moral support for their primary benefactor. They're just like, yo, guys, honestly, we're still tapped out. Good luck. Fucking good luck, guys. Good luck. Fox News is reporting that FBI counterterrorism and counterintel assets are on an elevated alert nationwide following the overnight attacks on Iran. I figured they would be. Audio has been posted of Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy making announcements on Marine VHF Channel 16 closing the Strait of Hormuz. As of this post, traffic in the area looks to be proceeding as normal. Hopefully there's... It sounds like he's speaking English. I'll turn this up for you guys. Hold on. Yeah.
This is Sepah Navy, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy. From now on, all navigating through the Strait of Hormuz is forbidden. No ship in every type is not allowed to pass from the Strait of Hormuz till next notice. This is Sepah Navy, out. This is Sepah Navy, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy. From now on, All navigating through the Strait of Hormuz is forbidden. No ship in every type is not allowed to pass from the Strait of Hormuz till next notice. This is Sepah Navy, out. This is Sepah Navy.
That's pretty crazy. Speaking in English like that, you know. Like Latin used to be kind of the international language. It was the language of the intelligentsia. Like a lot of science and like other things. A lot of like science papers and stuff like that would be published in Latin. And now it's just English. Like English is just the language of like everything international, you know? It's pretty crazy. Before the rumors start, yes, this is a plane typically used by senior Israeli government officials, including the prime minister, as we saw several times during the 12-day war last year when they were attacked. This craft will typically take to the skies to ride it out. So this is their Air Force One, is what it is. That's pretty insane. I want to see more. The Israeli Defense Forces published information regarding today's joint attack, stating that the operation consisted of over 200 fighter jets attacking 500 targets in the largest attack in Israeli Air Force history. That's wild. The United Kingdom Maritime Trade Office has issued an advisory stating that multiple vessels operating in the Arabian Gulf have received radio calls advising that the Strait of Hormuz is closed to all traffic. That is what we saw up there. Purported air defense interceptions in the skies over Bahrain earlier this evening. Let's go ahead and take a look at them. It's funny to think about air defenses because we've devolved into having missiles for the missiles, you know? Lingua franca. Yes, exactly. The missile hit. So the missile got taken out by the missile. Ooh, hold on. The Israeli Defense Forces published a video showing an attack on an Iranian military emplacement during the joint U.S.-Israeli attack earlier this morning. Ah, man, fucking. So these guys, hopefully they get away, you know. Hopefully they get away, but I don't like how you see the reticle, the crosshair fucking following those guys. It's like, all right, you can leave those guys alone. You know, those guys ain't going nowhere. You know, yeah, you could see what looks like the doors open, like here, and then maybe there's one there. Maybe those are open doors. Looks like those guys may have gotten away, which is that's good news. You know, I don't want to see people fucking dying like that. Thanks, Israel. Fucking thanks. Thanks a lot. It's like these dudes are running away. Like they're not any threat to you at all. You're just fucking doing that just cuz, you know. And I guarantee you, I fucking guarantee that if there is any kind of like cam, like any kind of footage from drones or like planes or anything like that, jets, that are coming from the Americans, they aren't doing that. They aren't doing this. I would guarantee that you're not seeing this from the Americans, you know? And it's funny in like a really fucking stupid way, how every nation in the world accuses America of doing what either they or somebody else does, you know? Like, it's rich hearing from a French person that Americans are ignorant and arrogant. Fucking, you couldn't tell them to place Cincinnati, Ohio on a map. Like I couldn't either, but I could at least tell you where Ohio is. They wouldn't be able to tell you where Ohio is. They wouldn't be able to tell you Minnesota or where, like, Washington D.C. They couldn't place Washington D.C. on a map, you know. But I need to know where fucking Le Snail, France is. This small village called Le Snail in southern France. Like, I need to know where the fuck that shit is. Get out of my face. Shut up, you know? And another thing is like war crimes. Like, yeah, have Americans committed war crimes? Sure. We punish our war criminals, though. I guarantee you this guy, the guy who did this, gets a fucking medal. He gets a medal, you know? And people try to act like we're just going into places with civilians like Rambo in that end scene of Rambo, the second movie, you know? It's like fuck off, you know? Damage visible at Kuwait International Airport following an Iranian ballistic missile attack. That is wild. An Iranian ballistic missile has reportedly hit the Palm Hotel and Resort in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. The UAE does host some of the U.S. forces south of Dubai near Abu Dhabi at Al Dhafra Air Base. Oh boy. China calls for an immediate stop to the military actions, no further escalation of the tense situation, resumption of dialogue and negotiation, and efforts to uphold the peace and stability in the Middle East. And it's like, yeah, that would be nice if we could do that, and let's totally try and do that. But again, the stuff that I was talking about is like, you'll see people who I'm just curious. I'm just curious, right? China calling for de-escalation while Iranian oil keeps their economy moving is not a neutral position dressed up as well. Okay. After several rounds of missile exchanges, China is I guess I shouldn't be that surprised, you know, that there's people calling them out. I don't know how many of these people are bots or anything like that. I was just curious to see if there was any quote unquote right wingers in here, right? Who were going to be like, you see, dude, China's making a lot of sense right now, man. Dude, you know, China's making a lot of sense right now. Yeah, the free world calls for China to fucking shut up and stop supplying Iran with cash weapons tech. They're literally committing genocide. Yeah, you know what? That's not that bad. That's not that bad. Amid the ongoing. Oh, yeah, these people are literally just copy pasting. Okay. Anyway, I was curious, right? Because this to me is like, oh, I could totally see Jake Shields reposting this. I could totally see Nick Fuentes reposting this, you know, and that's why I was like, oh, let's take a look at this. But it was not as bad as I anticipated. But also, a lot of these people are probably like annoying as well, is the thing. Is like, I'm not saying I side with those people in the comment sections who are like, well, actually, Iran's the bad guy. But like, I am surprised that I didn't see even one like, oh, dude, China knows what, dude, China's based. Dude, China's based in red pilled, dude. China's based and China's red pilled, man. Anyway. Would have been interesting if German became the national language as was suggested early on. German as in America? German? That'd be pretty insane. That would be pretty wild if we were speaking German right now. What's a quick rundown? Government still operating? Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure, you know, everything. Look, nothing ever happens. You know, it may look like it's happening, but nothing ever happens. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if Khomeini, this guy right here, is still alive. It wouldn't surprise me if within a couple of days, I'm not saying like a day, but within a couple of days, like by Monday or Tuesday, we see these guys come together and sit down and talk it out, and some, like, you know, everything ceases, you know. But let's watch this.
And then I'm like, this baby motherfucker better not blow up by nuclear shit, or I'm gonna go loco on this bitch. And then he blows up all my nuclear shit, and I'm like, call my generals. And they tell me, they're all dead, sir. And I'm like, assemble the army. And they're like, they're dead too, sir. So then I'm like, launch the friggin' missiles. And they're like, sir, they're gone, sir. So I'm like, what the fuck? And then I'm like, this baby motherfucker.
This baby motherfucker. Okay. Okay, so Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's compound after being targeted earlier today by Israeli Air Force, with it now confirmed that Khamenei was killed in the strike in his home in Tehran. So apparently it has been confirmed. I'm curious who confirmed that, though. I'm curious who confirmed it. Who is it Israel just like, yeah, we killed him, or is it like actually a war monitor? I should follow this guy. Or is it did Iran come out and say like, hey, rest in peace, rest in peace, Ayatollah? You know, another video of I believe I feel like we saw that earlier, but it's still crazy to see that. You know, the way it slams in and you see the gigantic. Another video of an Iranian Shahed 136 striking a high-rise apartment building earlier tonight in Bahrain, close to the headquarters of the Navy's 5th Fleet in Jufar. That's how you know Iran did 9/11. That's crazy, man. That's insane. Footage of Iran's 9/11 truthers are going to use this as an example. By the way, they're going to be like, that was an actual exploding thing. That was a bomb that crashed into this building, and it did not pancake like that. It is still standing. Anyway, footage. Again, like, you know. Footage of Iran Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei's dick has been shown to Prime Minister Netanyahu, according to N12. Reuters and Axios are now also reporting that Iran, blah, 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 has been eliminated by an Israeli strike this morning on Tehran. Remember, Khamenei is replaceable, and his death will not mean the death of the Islamic Republic. And that is one thing I was thinking about, too, is like, I said it wouldn't surprise me. I thought for a second, I thought this was you know that ex-CIA guy. He's been going around, Kiriakou, John Kiriakou. I thought that's who this was for a second. I was like, oh, I should follow that guy. But anyway, yeah, like, even if he's dead, like, they will have another guy ready to go. If they don't, then something's going to happen. Then something real is going to go down. You will see that, you know. But when it comes to, when it comes to succession, if they have a succession ready, the new guy is just going to step in and they're going to do that thing. You know, that's just the way it's going to be. Excuse me. President Donald J. Trump told Axios in an interview on Saturday that he has several off-ramps from Operation Epic Fury against Iran. I can go long and take over the whole thing, or end it in 2 or 3 days, and tell the Iranians, see you again in a few years if you start rebuilding your nuclear missile programs, Trump said in a 5-minute phone interview from Mar-a-Lago, further stating that in any case, it will take them several years to recover from this attack. That is pretty baller. That is pretty baller, you got to admit, you know. The Mog and Aura guys sure stop giving a fuck about that. You know, they sure stop giving a fuck about that shit. That's some fucking cold shit to say. That's some cold shit, you know. Iran said the top officials are still alive. They did admit that some military officers were killed. Yeah, they're not going to admit that for a while. They're going to wait until after, because if they admit that Khamenei is dead, everybody is like, they're cutting off the head of the serpent. Even if they're going to replace him with another head, that's going to be a serious morale, not boost, but damper on the Iranian military. You know, that's just the way it is. You don't like check the pulse, feel the heartbeat stop, and then walk out to address the nation. That's not how you do it. You know, you have to honestly make sure everything is going to be okay. That when you announce, regardless of what your plans are, the population is not going to have another plan. You know, that type of shit. The comment section I saw on that video was exactly that. LOL, conspiracists chiming in. Oh yeah, no surprise there. No surprise there. Curious what else. Yes, so we are basically caught up. I'll do another thing or two. Oh, excuse me. An Iranian one-way attack drone, likely a Shahed 136, filmed scoring a direct hit earlier Saturday on the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters at the Naval Support Activity Bahrain in Jufair, located in Manama, Sea Anemone, the capital of Bahrain. Let's see here. I wonder if we doesn't sound like there's any audio. Yeah, that thing almost like floats in. Like it clearly went like down. It clearly flew into it, but it's traveling so slow. It almost looks like they were just like, no, cut the thrust. No more thrust. Just let it free fall into it. Which, like, it's a building. It's not like it's gonna move out of the way, but it's just like you almost would expect to not see the thing coming in, to just fucking explode. But no. You could have been sitting there watching it come down, like, oh shit. And you could have had final thoughts watching that happen. You could have been like, oh damn, I'm never gonna get to see my wife. Like that could have happened, you know? That's wild. Yep. All right. Let's bada bing bada boom.
So when you add the largest flyover in Israeli history to the largest concentration of American power in a generation, we are talking about staggering force. And while we have not yet seen much, you know, the images that we're showing here are, for want of a better phrase, friendlies, or greens, right? You know, allies and partners. We haven't seen a lot of images of the destruction, the damage that's been caused in Iran. But I am quite certain that, based on the fact we've had the largest Israeli flyover in that nation's
Just kind of
history,
listening
and
to
the
this right now. I'm
largest,
going to get out of here soon.
U.S. concentration of force in a generation, I am willing to believe that the destruction across Iran right now is significant.
And Colonel, when we saw last summer when the U.S. used those bunker buster bombs to hit at underground in mountain areas, some of the nuclear facilities that Iran was constructing or had already constructed, much of their missile systems and their structural part of their short and mid-length missile systems are also in bunkerized mountainous areas.
That's right, as well as...
Oh man. I guess there's some new UFC White House card info that came out. Apparently, they're trying to put together Alex Pereira versus John Jones. If that falls through, they might do Pereira versus Cyril Gane. And then Conor McGregor won't fight on the White House most likely, but he's more likely to fight in Vegas for International Fight Week, which means he's not going to be fighting, you know. But yeah. Figured I'd end on that. Oh man, that's so crazy, you know. Imagine you're just walking out and then bang, that happens. And like, I was very surprised and almost like shocked by, I was shooting guns. I've shot guns like a handful of times in my life. I'm not like a gun guy, but you know, I've done it a few times. And my friend brought his Mosin Nagant, right? And we had just gotten there. We're loading shit up, and you know, it's a Mosin, so you just fucking hit the stripper clip and you're good. And because of that, the buddy of mine who was going to shoot his Mosin, he was ready to go. So we're just like sitting there, and I have my back turned, loading up a magazine for an AR. And all of a sudden, I hear and feel through my ear pro, by the way, boom, and there's a shock wave. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck was that? And I turn around and I see that buddy of mine racking the Mosin, right? I didn't expect that. I didn't know there was going to be a shock wave off of that. This is a rifle, right? It's a battle rifle, you know. It's a rifle though. Like, imagine a trench in World War One. There's just a line of those dudes just firing out of the trench, just boom, 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 boom. That would have to be crazy, right? I could only imagine the shockwave of an explosion like that. Like, that dude was like, he looked like he was a plaza or two, or like a block or two away from that explosion, and he had to hit the deck. Like, I don't think it was like he saw the explosion and he was like, uh-oh, better hit the deck. I think it was like the explosion happened and he felt heat and a shock wave, and he heard the boom, and it kind of blew him off his feet a little bit. That would not surprise me, you know? So that's got to be crazy. You know, it's got to be crazy how fast it happens too. You're just there and then bang, you know? That's wild. But I am going to get out of here, all right? Thank you everybody for tuning in today, all right? I hope you have a nice rest of your Saturday. I figured I'd get mine in a little bit earlier today because I just happened to be able to. I had some time at home alone. So yeah, I am going to see if I can stream tomorrow. If I can stream tomorrow, I will. And if I do stream tomorrow, it is going to be... Oh, excuse me. If I stream tomorrow, it is going to be a Kick exclusive. So follow me on kick.com, okay? Kick.com/... Hold on one sec. Follow me on kick.com. I just put the link in the chat, okay? I would like to be able to do that because I can do some more stuff on there. This chick's nose job is insane. Baby, come look at this chick's nose job real quick. She can't hear me. You know, she's got her headphones in, so I'm not gonna bother her like that. But yeah, this chick's nose job is wild. Look at that shit. Anyway, on that note, thank you one last time for tuning in. And until next time, peace out.